Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Today I'll be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. And just like what you like with my videos, I am going to take you to school. Not really literal school. Some of you like school, some of you dislike school, some of you are in elementary school, some of you are in grade school, and some of you are in college. Or some of you are in grad school like I am, and you're really tired of school, but you're still going because you're almost there. You know, you're almost there. Just like in Go Battle League Season 8, we're almost there. Not really. We still got a lot of season left. This is the top 10 leads / picks in our Pokemon the top 10 leads and picks in the Great League Remix. These Pokemon are being used the most out of Day 1 stats thanks to ytxpikachu. As I always say, please consider following. Actually, no, don't consider it. Do it. Follow ytxpikachu on Twitch as well as his Twitter socials to find the latest and greatest data. And thanks to the data gathered by him, we have a great analysis, and I can confirm that these have been very popular, and because ytx is a greater analyst than I am, the equivalent to PvPoke, or if not both of them are just greater than I am by a large milestone, because they're amazing analysts and they provide very accurate and great data that allow me to do what I do and will help you become legends in Go Battle League Season 8. Anyways, without further ado, I'm going to go by each and every pick. Less than 2 minutes. I'm going to keep it short for each one, basically to say why it's really good and how to beat it. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright, at number 10, we have Stunfisk. No, not the annoying metal burnt pancake. We have the original maple pancake known as Stunfisk. Stunfisk kind of dodged my radar. I had a hunch it would be good just because of its thunder, its typing, but I didn't realize it would be this good. Literally being used in 7.5% of teams, with being 2.4% in the lead. So out of this list, it's like one of the top 10 leads near the bottom, tied with Jellicent, Frostless, as well as Wigglytuff. So from top 10 to like 7, about like 7 or 6 as far as usage in the lead. But I've seen in the lead a lot, and Stunfisk is actually really great in the lead. The reason why it's so good is because it's able to beat Jellicent, Registeel, Machamp, Pidgeot, and Mandibuzz in the 2-Shield. Stunfisk is very powerful against basically the Jelly Regicore, which is very powerful. It's able to beat Shadow Champ just because of sheer pressure. It also gives Pidgeot a very difficult time if it was unbanned, and Niantic did their job, because Pidgeot, basically all of Pidgeot's attacks are resisted by Stunfisk, along with a lot of other flyers, which is why it beats Mandibuzz. Because it beats Registeel, Jellicent, Mandibuzz, and has such a strong matchup against Steel typings and flyers, Stunfisk is the number 10 in this list at 7.5%, which is a lot. Now, it is weak against Wigglytuff, and of course anything that resists Thunder, or just ground types in general, which is why you have a hard time against Nidoqueen. You don't necessarily have too much of a hard time against Nidoqueen in the 2-Shield, just because against Nidoqueen, Mud Bomb fires very quickly, regardless of whether you're using Thunder Shock or you're using Mud Shot. However, things like Sableye are Hypno, things that do a ridiculous amount of damage, or things that basically Stunfisk doesn't have super effective damage against, can do very well against it, just because it's not particularly powerful. It's bulky, but like I said, if it's not super effective, it won't do a lot of damage. Stunfisk is best used in the lead and in the closer. It's heavy shield pressure, and it's very bulky, and it's spammy. That's basically why Stunfisk is number 10 and why it's really, really good. Great core breaker, and it will force a lot of shield / do a lot of damage just because of its charge move pressure. Next up, we got the daddy of caches, the one that will take all your money, or in Go Battle League, specifically your ELO. If you like catfish, guess what? Wish Cash is for you. If you hate catfish, well, I hope you like seafood. Anyways, Wish Cash is at number 9 overall in Go Battle League rankings for Great League Remix. However, it is also a 4.8% lead. In other words, it's a top 5 lead in Great League Remix, sporting a 10% usage. I've seen a lot of Wish Caches on some teams when I battled today, and for good reason. Mud Bomb, Mud Shot, and Blizzards is a fantastic combination. It does very well against Nidoqueen, Registeel, basically all of the ground typings. It beats Stunfisk from before just because of its ground type ability. Ground is super effective against electric types. Very spammy, just like Stunfisk. The only difference is that it's bulky. Not only is it bulky, but it has a different typing as well as Blizzard. Blizzard can do heavy damage / nuke a lot of things if it's in a certain range, which is why Whiscash is so good. Daddy Cash will take your healer, like I mentioned, and it's also an incredibly powerful lead. Powerful in the lead, powerful as a closer. Not so much as a switch, but whether it's in the lead or on the back, it's very powerful, and that's why it's it's basically one of the top 5 leads in Great League Remix, sporting a 10% usage, which means out of 1 out of 10 teams, you might see a Whiscash. But like I mentioned, it's very bulky, it's very spammy. There's a lot of flexibility in the team with it, and because of its pressure, it's very, very strong. Most of the time you're going to use Mud Shot, but of course with Mud Bomb, you just spam a bunch of shields, and if you are able to Blizzard through shields, and if it's super effective against it, like a Diggersby or a Mandibuzz, it will deal either heavy damage, or you will KO whatever is in front of you. It will send you to the next Ice Age, and if you've ever seen an Altaria get Blizzarded by a Whiscash, it's one of the most amazing things on this earth. Next up at number 8, we got Mr. and Mrs. Pringles, the Emperor and Empress of Jellies, the Man or Lady of War, the Jellicent. Jellicent stands at number 8. And it's, well, hold on, 10, 9, yeah, it's number 8, and at 12.5% overall usage. With 2.4% in the lead, so it's basically tied with the other 4, so it's a top 10, it's a top, like, 6 through 10 lead. Jellicent is incredibly powerful, which is why it's in a whole lot of teams, because it's super versatile. Shadow Ball does heavy damage, Bubble Beam bait shields, and with Ice Beam, you can OKO, you can one-hit KO, you can one-hit KO Nidoqueens. I was trying to figure out. I basically, the reason I know this is because I've gotten killed by many Jellicents with Ice Beam. Just put that out there. Anyways, it's incredibly powerful because it's basically able to wall Registeel. It does resist both Steel as well as Fighting types. It's very strong against Machamp because it resists Fighting, it double resists Fighting types actually. It also resists Poison, which is why Nidoqueen has a hard time, and it also resists Ice types being a Water type, which is why it has a strong matchup against Whiscash. Also does very well against the Psychic Archetype, which is why loses to Cresselia. Hypno also has a hard time against Jellicent unless Hypno is able to hit a Shadow Ball. Of course, when you have Ghost type Pokemon, your biggest weakness are going to be Dark types. It's also prone to 2-shield Jelly strats, also Digger, anything that resists Ghost type attacks, like normal types basically. And Diggersby has a strong matchup against Jellicent just because it double resists Ghost, so normal types give you a hard time. Normal types, Dark types, and of course Grass types like Abomasnow will give you a hard time in the Great League Remix. However, Jellicent is a top Pokemon, one of the top leads, which is why its strongest point in the lead, and why you see 12.5% of them, over 1 out of 10 teams will have a Jellicent in the lead. And that's why it's just that good. It's super bulky, super dynamic, versatile, and like I mentioned, one of the top leads for the Great League Remix. At lucky number 7, we have the Queen. She is the Ice Queen, the Queen of the Great League Remix, and was extremely powerful in the Holiday as well as the Great League Remix of the previous season. Now we have Frostless. Frostless is incredibly powerful. One of my top picks for my top teams, and definitely one of the top Pokemon in the Great League Remix. She's definitely a long-term use, for long-term use, Frostless is amazing and has been so relevant. I definitely recommend you consider building one and using it for the Great League Remix. Frostless is good for several reasons. She does really well against the Flyers as well as the Ground types, which is why she obliterates Nidoqueen, Diggersby, Pidgeot, and of course even Mandibuzz. Her ability to beat Mandibuzz is basically a really strong point for Frostless, and the Frostless with energy / shield advantage, or the 2-shield Frostless stat, is just extremely powerful in the Great League Remix, even with all the top 20 banned. As you see, because she carries Shadow Ball is able to take out the Psychic types, which are very popular and strong save switches for the Great League Remix. Now, Frostless is prone to getting 2-shield. Yes, a Shadow Champ, just keep this in mind, a Shadow Champ can 2-shield its way straight cross-drop through your Frostless, so just be very mindful of Machamp. Also be careful of Pokemon that have heavy pressure like Whiscash. Registeel has a very strong matchup against you just because Flash Cannon is super effective against Ice. Wigglytuff can 2-shield its way through you, and of course Dark types can give you a very hard time, which is why Obstagoon with Night Slash is very strong against Frostless. Frostless, however, is very powerful and stands at 12.5%, one of the top picks of any team, and at 2.4% in the lead. So a top 6 through 10 lead that you will see in the Great League Remix. I actually faced her a couple of times today, but she's very spammy, With shield and energy advantage, she will take your elo, and if you use her, she will serve you well as a lead, safe switch, or closer in all positions. Frostless is just so strong for the Great League Remix. Alright, at number 6, I already knew it was going to be a top pick, but I didn't know it'd be this good. Sporting at a 15% overall team usage, so in 15% of teams, Mandibuzz is in one. The big dark Flintstones Bone Bird is a 4.8% lead, so it's a top 5 lead in the Great League Remix. I've actually faced like 1 or 2 of them, so Mandibuzz is not only good in the lead, but it's also good overall, standing at one of the number 3 most powerful Mon, top 3 in the Great League Remix for Season 8. Mandibuzz is really strong because with Dark and Flying, you do resist Ghost types as well as Ground types, which is why you are so strong against Nidoqueen, Diggersby, and Jellicent. The ability to resist all of these and also give Psychic types like Cresselia a very hard time just because of, like I said, it's a Dark type. Now, the funny thing is, Mandibuzz will actually lose to Machamp just because Machamp is very strong. There's a lot of scenarios where I've been able to double up on Air Lace and take out Machamp, so just because you face one doesn't mean Machamp is all-knowing. It can still beat you, but just keep in mind, you still have a chance against Machamp if you see one. What's really bad is you see a Registeel. Registeel will absolutely obliterate you just because of Flash Can doing so much damage, and just because if, like, Foul Play doesn't do a lot against a giant metal trash can. If Pidgeot was still unbanned, it'd still be very, very powerful just because of its ability to debuff you. Of course, anything that resists Snarl, like Obstagoon, or other Dark types like other Mandibuzzes will give you an issue. And, of course, Abomasnow, just because Ice types beat Flying types, basically. As you see, very powerful in all positions, especially the closer. A top lead, again, one of the top 5 leads, super bulky, super powerful. The only issue with it is that it has a low attack stat, so it's going to do a low amount of damage, but it has such a wide variety of type advantages in Great League Remix. It definitely belongs as a top 3 pick, as well as a top 5 lead for Great League Remix. Alright, one of the top 3 leads, I'm not really surprised, is the Drunken Bunny/Rabbit. Diggersby, the most powerful Mon statistically overall in the Great League Remix, is a top 3 lead with 7.1%. So it's tied for number 2. Not number 1, but it's pretty dang close. At 7.1%, Diggersby is tied with number 2 as a top 3 lead, sporting at a 7.1%. It's extremely popular in the league because it actually is statistically the most powerful lead in the Great League Remix. Also very powerful in the back. Diggersby is very powerful for several reasons. It destroys steel types, it's able to resist Lickers or Ghost type users, which is why it's so good against Lickitung. It also has a very strong matchup against Wigglytuff just because it's so bulky. With Earthquake and Fire Punch, Earthquake does heavy damage still, even though it doesn't have a particularly high attack, and Fire Punch is able to bait shields. It's also very strong against the Ghost archetype, as you see with Jellicent, just because it resists Hex. Now, your key losses, of course, it's whatever. Normal, of course, the reason why you lose super heavy against Machamp is because Normal gets beat the crap out of you by fighting types. Whiscash, unfortunately, Whiscash does resist Fire Punch. At the same time, Blizzard does heavy damage. Cresselia can edge you out with Grass Knot. And Mandibuzz and Obstagoon have super effective, or they resist your moves. Again, it's the number 1 most powerful statistically for a reason. What sucks is that Diggersby must be XL, so it has to be a level 50, as you see here. Must be a level 50 most of the time, and because of that extra bulk you have, it could survive so many scenarios where you're going to be able to get off a lot of Fire Punches or Earthquakes. Again, it's super powerful, even though it's resisted. This Diggersby, just because it's so thick and powerful, can come out with a W just by spamming a whole bunch of charge moves. And it's the number 1 Pokemon overall for a reason, and a top 3 lead for a reason. It's just that good. I don't even want to review this one. No, seriously, I don't. At number 4, at a 17.5 overall usage, luckily it's, well, that's not luckily, but it's one of the top 6 through 10 leads. I've encountered it 3 times today, possibly more. I just wanted to kill it. Is Mr. or Mrs. Wiggles. Wigglytuff 2 Shield Charm strats are still very powerful, and Wigglytuff is still very strong in the Great League Remix. By taking out Galarian Stunfisk, Wigglytuff can run through a lot of combinations with 2 shields, which is why it is a top 10 lead, and for some odd reason, almost a quarter of people have one. Well, 17.5 isn't a quarter, but you know, 20%, 1 out of 5 trainers having one in their team isn't super comfortable. As you see here, Mr. Wiggles will kill you. Mr. Wiggles is very good just because it's able to take out the fighters as well as dark types, as you see here. But it's also, it's able to 2-shield its way through so many combinations. You can 2-shield your way through, and if you're confident with having no shields or down shield advantage, Wigglytuff will do very well. It can lose to mons that have heavy pressure or things like Pidgeot, which are able to debuff it a lot. And of course, it's going to lose to the giant trash can, you know, because steel types destroy fairies. As you see here, a very powerful lead, but just because Wiggly 2-shield strats are insanely powerful. Other than that, make sure you be very wary about taking charge moves, because there's a lot of things that will hit Wigglytuff really hard in this cup if you choose not to shield. But it's a top 5 lead for a reason, or not top 5, a top 5 overall team use, again at 17.5%. So a lot of people are using it just because you can force your way through a lot of combinations with Wigglytuff 2-shield. That's just the way it is. When Wigglytuff isn't banned, guess what? Or when a lot of things that when Bastion and a bunch of steel types are banned, Wigglytuff goes to town. Against your elo, not their elo. Unless you're the one using it, then you're happy. Alright, now we enter the top 3, and we got Machamp. So Machamp is excessively powerful, and you probably know why it's here. It's bunny/rabbit season, or it's Obstagoon season, whichever one. Does anybody know what animal Obstagoon is, by the way? I know it looks like it's a Rockstar, but I just don't know. Anyways, Machamp is at a whooping 20% overall usage in every team, which means out of 1 of 5 teams, there will be a Machamp. Or likely be a Machamp. And as you see here, it has a 4.8% lead usage, which means it's like in the top 5. Machamp is there for one reason. Well, mainly for one reason, to roadkill the poor Diggersby and Registeel. So because of Machamp's ability to just basically be so strong, a Shadow or a regular one works, but either one, the Shadow one is especially destructive because it could 2-shield its way through many things, straight cross chop. A good example is Frostless. Frostless in the 2-shield against Shadow Champ, Frostless will lose. Just because, as you see here, Machamp is Shadow Champ is just a beast. The 4-arm Goro of Destruction will destroy basically anything that's weak to fighting, or just basically just gets destroyed by straight cross chop, like Wishcash, which is why it gets annihilated. And of course, Obstagoon gets destroyed. Beware of Poison, Grass, and Psychic types, and Flyers. So there's a lot of things that can kill Machamp, but if Machamp gets up against a positive matchup, or it's able to rock slide its victims to oblivion, it can possibly come out with a W. Insanely powerful in the lead. Glassy, but just because it puts so much, it's just so powerful that with cross chop and rock slide, it's such a great moveset. And like I said, with straight cross chop, it can 2-shield its way through so many combinations. It's not a surprise why Machamp is a basically top 3 and at a 20% usage for the Great League Remix. Alright, in the top 2, there's another queen other than Frostless, and her name is Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen, either Shadow or regular one, is insanely powerful for the Great League Remix. At a 25% overall usage, which means 1 out of 4 teams had a Nidoqueen in it, and it's actually a top 3 lead, standing at 7.1%. Nidoqueen's incredibly powerful for 2 reasons. It's an incredibly powerful lead switch, not so much as a closer, but it can close out with Earth Power, possibly close out with Earth Power, but it's just insanely powerful. Nidoqueen does really well against Machamp, a whole bunch of combinations. It can run through Machamp, Registeel, Wigglytuff, Mandibuzz, even Pidgeot, just because of the Poison Jab and Poison Fang debuff. With Earth Power, you're able to take out Steel types, and it can, of course, Fairies are weak to Poison as well, so 2-shield Wiggly strats don't work against the Shadow Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen is a beast. It can straight 2-shield its way through with Poison Fang through a lot of different things, as long as it doesn't resist Poison Fang. That's why you lose to Jellicent and Wishcash, because Ground or Ghost resist Poison type attacks. Same thing with Beedrill. Beedrill is Bug and Poison, so Poison resists Poison. So, other than that, if you don't resist Poison, Nidoqueen is going to do a lot of damage, and with Poison Fang debuff, you can actually do a lot of plays. There's a lot of times where you will have the Nidoqueen Mirror, and if you straight Earth Power, it may possibly go through 2 shields and KO your opponent's Nidoqueen. As you hear, Nidoqueen is excessively powerful. A lot of pressure, somewhat bulky, a lot of pressure, does a lot of damage over time, and it just puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. If you win the lead against your opponent, there's a lot of things you could do to set up debuffs, which is why I like Nidoqueen and Mandibuzz so much together. Debuff with Nidoqueen, then send in Mandibuzz to Foul Play / Aerial Ace to death. Very powerful, and again, 25%. 1 out of 4 teams may have a Nidoqueen in it with a 7.1% lead usage. In other words, it's a top 3 lead. Alright, at number 1, the number 1 lead as well as overall usage in the Great League Remix as of right now is Obstagoon. I knew it would be good, I just didn't know a lot of people would be using it this much, but it makes a lot of sense. It resists the ghost types as well as being able to beat Diggersby just because it's a pseudo counter user. So it's a counter user that's not actually a fighter type. It stands at 27.5%, so 1 out of 4 teams will likely have an Obstagoon and a 9.5 lead. It's the number one lead as far as percentage goes, and 1 out of 10 leads will likely be an Obstagoon. As you see here, Obstagoon is insanely powerful because of, like I mentioned before, its ability to beat Ghosts as well as Diggersby, which is the normal types, and its unique typing makes it such a powerful mon for this cup. As you see here, it has the ability to beat Mandibuzz, Jellicent, Diggersby, Whiscash, a lot of top meta picks, and also resists a lot of them as well. It's a cheap pick, only 10k dust for the second move, and as you see here, it also has the ability to boost. A boosted Obstagoon will probably piss you off in multiple leagues, because in Great League and Ultra League, if an Obstagoon boosts, 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to win unless it's unless you have a dominant matchup. But as you see here, Obstagoon is insanely powerful. Obstagoon does fall to Registeel just because of Focus Blast, so beware of Focus Blast or anything that's fighting type. Basically, most fighting attacks will yeet Obstagoon to oblivion. You must also be aware of Cresselia just because of fairy type attacks, such as Moonblast, as well as things like Nidoqueen, basically things that resist counter, like Pidgeot and Nidoqueen. Of course, you must resist fighters, because like I said, if anything has a fighting attack and you don't have shields, you're probably going to die. Unless you're boosted and you're already running down your opponent with shield advantage or energy advantage even. As here, Obstagoon is insanely powerful. Again, boosted Goon is probably your worst nightmare, and it's not a surprise it's in the lead, because there's a lot of things that Obstagoon can take down in the Great League Remix meta if you use it as a lead. And that's GG's. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is accurate. This is... I wish it was a lot more diverse, but you know, that's what happens with the Great League Remix. You still got Shadow Victory Bell running out there. Wiggly 2-shield strat dominates, and giant trash cans run free. That's all I have to say. Anyways, Great League Remix, hopefully this data does help you out. As you see, a lot of combinations that I actually predicted, or that were on my top teams, are actually top picks overall for this data. So I'm not really surprised, but they really should have banned like top 50 or 100. But hopefully this data does help you out decide on which teams you want to use. As you see, all these mods that I showed you in the top 10 or on that list are incredibly effective, and hopefully that lead data does help you out. Because it definitely helped me out. After I saw this, I adjusted a little bit and I was like, oh, okay, cool. This actually is doing really well. I'll keep it. Hope you guys are enjoying the video. I hope you guys are having a great time for the Great League Remix 2.0, because I know it's not like really great because, you know, top 20 doesn't matter too much, but hopefully you're having at least a little bit of fun. Now, if you would do me a huge favor, it's totally free. Please like and subscribe. It's totally free. And if you're listening to this right now, it totally helps out the channel and helps out my sub goal of 3k subs by the end of the year. You can easily subscribe by putting your mouse over the little box that says subscribe to the bottom right, and it'll pop up the sub tab. You can easily like and subscribe, and it's super free like I mentioned again, and it totally helps out the channel for my goal of 3k subs by the end of the year. For my subs that already subscribed, I appreciate you guys, and I say that for every video because I really do appreciate you. I never imagined I'd be this. I never imagined I'd have... If you said to me a year ago when you said, okay, you know what, 100 subs, but I'm at 2k, dang. Really happy. Anyways, I do appreciate you guys. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.